Who's the greatest Christian in the world? Today on the Midweek Move, we're going to talk about why that doesn't matter. Hello and welcome to the Midweek Move, podcast Stitch in the Healing Places, the podcast where we examine the scriptures line by line, verse by verse, and ask ourselves, what is happening here? And today, ladies and gentlemen, is part 2 of our summer series of the weekly shorts. I'm excited to have with me young Brayson. What's up, brother? How you doing?
What's up?
Welcome to film school. How's it been for you?
Oh my gosh, it's been awesome.
What's been the best part?
The best part, I don't know, getting to walk barefoot around the church because Shepard stole my shoes.
That's true. Check the videos if you want to see that. We caught him. It's good. No. All right, so we've been going through the series on the Book of Mark right now, and it's been a lot of fun. It's been really interesting. Last week, Kinsley did a great job talking about hearing people, listening to people. And today, we're going to be continuing the conversation with yet another awkward moment. It seems like the disciples keep doing this. They keep putting their foot in their mouth and just like, I don't feel comfortable. And so let's roll with it, all right? Verse 33 through 37 says this. And they came to Capernaum, and when he was in the house, he asked them, what are you discussing on the way? And they kept silent, for on the way they had argued with one another about who was the greatest. And he sat down and called the 12, and he said to them, if anyone would be first, he must be last, last of all and servant of all. And he took a child and put him in the midst of them, and taking him in his arms, he said to them, whoever receives one such child in my name receives me, and whoever receives me receives not me, but him who sent me. So here's a question for you today. Because again, the disciples, they kind of got this pride. They got this competitive spirit about them. They're like, I'm the best. I'm the biggest and the baddest disciple.
Right.
And you're going, you kind of messed up, and Jesus called you Satan the other day there, Petey. So there's a lot happening here, right? How can we work to remain humble so that we think of others more than ourselves? Because that's what's happening. They're thinking of themselves more than each other as the whole. So how can we work to remain humble so we're thinking about others more than ourselves? And how does not thinking of ourselves as higher than others help the community, the church as a whole?
All right. Well, first of all, the disciples, they're like this big team.
Right.
Right? So instead of looking for like the good for just one specific disciple, themselves, they should look for the good for all of the disciples.
Right.
And also, I just want to say this. Being humble isn't like you being weak.
Mm-hmm.
You're not, weakening yourself. Also, being humble doesn't mean you talk bad about yourself.
Right.
Because it just simply means you don't put yourself above others and you work
right.
for, the greater good of, the disciples or the team.
Sure.
Right. So yeah, that's what I have for that. And what was the other question?
How does being humble, how does not think of ourselves only, but think of ourselves as higher than others, how does it help the church as a whole?
Helps the church. Well, I mean, first of all, let me think. Well, I'll put this in sense of sports and stuff. Because, I play basketball,
Right.
So I think in the sense of sports, if you're not humble, you're really being like a ball hog.
Mm-hmm.
Not really passing to anyone.
Right.
Right. And even ball hogs, they miss too.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, they may be able to make a certain amount of points, but that doesn't, change the fact that you would get more points if you were to pass the ball.
Exactly.
Right. So I think it's a similar thing for being humble in regards to the church.
Mm-hmm.
One person may be able to do, a lot,
Mm-hmm.
but that doesn't change the fact that everyone can do way more than just one person.
Word.
And so when one person thinks so much of them, whenever someone else gets good, that would actually do better than them, they say, but me.
Yeah.
Right? And but me is just not the right attitude to have.
That's good. I love it. And you're so right. And but me is not the right attitude to have. Let me ask you this. In the practical sense, what does it look like when you're in a group setting and perhaps there's somebody who's not the greatest at something, and you're like, I know I can do this better. How do you actively encourage them And again, keeping humility, but encouraging other people. Well, how does that look like?
Oh yeah, I've been in that situation a lot
Yeah?
with like basketball and stuff. Um, just tell them to keep going.
Yeah.
Tell them that they're doing great.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the last thing you want to do is go up and say you're not as good as me, but you'll get there one day, you know. But I'm still awesome, you know.
Right.
Like
Still awesome. Okay.
that's like not what you want to do. If anything, leave yourself completely out
Word.
of it and kind of be just like a messenger to them,
Mm-hmm.
right? And just encourage them in that way, and just
Mhm.
kind of forget about yourself for a second.
Yeah, absolutely. Last week, Kinsley had talked about the aspect of just listening to people and something like that. What I found often is when we take the time to listen to people, you're able to go, wow, this is actually a really good aspect about them. And you're able to then point that out to them, encourage them in that fashion. So that's another practical aspect of that. Again, taking yourself out of the equation, listening to them, and then going, hey, you said this, and this was great. Or, hey, I saw you do this, and that was amazing. All right. There may have been some other things that weren't great, and we can work on those things that aren't great, right? We can improve, but let's focus on what's good to build them up so we can improve.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do with my basketball teammate. Like last year was his first year.
Mm-hmm.
He started off never touched a basketball in his life.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I mean, he's probably going to be one of the stars.
Word.
And I feel like wasn't all because of me,
Mhm.
right? It was mostly because of, coach.
Right.
But like I took a bunch of time to,
Right.
go to his house and practice with him.
Right.
I gave him, pointers.
Mm-hmm.
If there was something that I thought that he was doing well, I said, good job.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's focus on this part.
Right.
Right. And also sometimes I had to say, dude, I'm not good at this either. So
Right.
I'll do this with you.
Right.
Right.
That's good. So that's great because you're showing humility in a couple ways. There, one, you're going, I'm not good in certain areas. Let me help out with you. But also on the front end of the conversation, you did something really great. You said, it wasn't all me. Coach was a big part of that. It's understanding that it's not just you. It's part of a community as a whole. In this room, we're filming right now, we have a whole bunch of teenagers, and they're all fulfilling different parts. We have some that we're manning the cameras, doing the audio, stuff like that. And we're all working together to do something great. When we have that mindset of we're all working together, we can accomplish so much more together. Right?
Sure.
Word. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, want to hear from you. How can we encourage other people? How can we remain humble? Reach out to us. Email us at mediahub@thpshreveport.com. And until next time, have a great week.